Shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to start this lesson by giving all praises, honor and glory to the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and taught us this 100% truth. Salutations unto the 144,000 doing the work of the Lord in all truth, honor and sincerity. And shalom to the 1/3 men, women and children who believe in His word being taught unto them. It's your brother Amna wa Allah, and I'm back at you with another video entitled Strive for this truth even unto death. You know, because really there's nothing else in this world worth our time, man. Worth investing in, worth getting into, worth trying to dibble and dabble in, man. You know, we've been called into this higher knowledge, man. All right, and it don't really get any better than this. There's nothing out there in this world that can compare to this truth, man. And you know, sometimes you be so in the thick of it, you know, just catching hell and going through different things that you kind of you can forget that sometimes, and you might, you know, kind of not intentionally, but you might kind of what's the word, man, downplay the value of this truth, man. You know, because you see, this is not the truth ain't something where you can get what's it called, instant gratification. You know, when you come into this truth, man, you pretty much working with delayed gratification. You know, so you're not gonna necessarily see all the benefits of being in this truth right away, but you know, as time goes on, especially as we enter into our world, our rulership, then we're gonna, you know, see the fruits of our labor. Then we're gonna see just how much this ministry benefits. You know, it says in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 that if your desire being thrones and scepters, honor wisdom. You know, so you being a ruler, you getting those thrones and those scepters, and you know, being in that position of rulership, dominance, you know, dominion. All right, it begins with wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing. All right, so Proverbs 11:4 tells us, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. You see, so that's why the scriptures tell us strive not to be rich. You know, it's not all about that. Yeah, you know, Ecclesiastes 7 tells us how you know, wisdom is a defense and money is a defense. But what does it say about wisdom? It says, but the excellency of wisdom is that it giveth life to those that have it. All right, money can't give you life. It can give you temporary pleasures, temporary forevers, make you feel on top of the world, yada yada yada. All right, but as it says in Proverbs 11:4, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. So you see, when Yahweh Shai comes back with the holy angels, it's not going to matter how much money you got in your bank account. It's not going to matter how many bags you was able to run up. What's the word, man? How many shoe boxes you got filled with money? That great money-making, lucrative scheme that you had. That's not going to matter. That's not going to hold no relevance, man. All that's going to be relevant is, have you got the thawat, the mark of exemption? Are you exempt from judgment? That's all that's going to matter. And you see, all those guys that are, you know, chasing the bag now, all right, they're going to wish they was of the elect. Read Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, man. It tells you about, you know, the fate of the wicked, the unbelievers, repenting and groaning in themselves. you know, saying this is the guy that we had in derision, man. They made mockery of us, you know, but this is the same guy who, lo and behold, he's been abducted into them into that, you know, that great fathership, man. You know, these are the kind of thoughts that's going to be playing in these people's minds. You know, you got to read Psalm 73, man. Tap into that psalm. That's a psalm of Asaph. He was envious at the wicked, but hey, guess what? He remembered their end. Okay, the Most High brought it into his remembrance, and he realized that really the Most High has put them in slippery places, man. And we got to remember that what we're striving for is for something that's eternal, man. You know, being made an eternal excellency. All right. So it's like, really, all this shit that we got to deal with now, we just got to suck it up, man. You know, we either complain about it or we just deal with it, man. You know, you're still gonna have to deal with it anyway. So it's like, you're better off just you know, just getting on with it, man. Complaining don't make it any easier, man. Some people. This is Sirach 11. Is it 11 that I want? I have nothing, sorry. You know, the way this system is, man. I barely have cash on me, man. You know, I don't really have cash on me unless I have to, and I don't really like that about myself. But you know, I'm kind of brought up in that generation, man. Cards, contactless, Apple Pay. You know, get paid in my account and that stuff. So it's like, I don't really have you know, bills come out of my account, so I don't really have reason to have cash, which, you know, now is actually a good time to, you know, have like cash on you in whatever amount and stuff, you know, because you got the grid. You know, they putting these power cuts out there, man, these outages and all of that, which we know is set up. You know what I mean? Like, how it always amazes me how, you know, just like I'm into the automotive industry, I'm into cars. It amazes me how there was a period of time where, you know, engines were bulletproof, man. You know, they were built to last. Now, an engine approaches 100,000 and you're scared, man. You want to get rid of the car, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know, it's the same way how this grid has been working for so long, but now all of a sudden you're getting these outages and all of that shit, man. And you know, that's not set up. You know, come on, man. This is Sirach 18 and verse 7 that I want, I believe. No, it's not. It's verse 10 that I want. Sirach 18 and 10. As a drop of water onto the sea, and a gravel stone in comparison of the sand, so are 1,000 years to the days of eternity. So it's like, you know, we ain't even been in Esau's kingdom 1,000 years. We've been there here about half of 1,000 years. You know, what's that? Half a century. But it's like, what's eternity compared to that? And that's what we're heading into. We're heading into our eternal rest. And you know, Micah 2 and 10 tells us what? Arise ye and depart, for this is not our rest. This truly is not our rest, man. We ain't getting no rest here. You know, we don't even belong here, man. This ain't our kingdom. If it was, you know, there'll be righteousness established We don't see righteousness established now. You know, we see the establishment of the wicked, and we know that because the people are mourning. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. You know, the people are mourning right now. You know, ain't no one happy here, man. Bills sky high. You know, you don't even know if you're gonna, you know, you got to decide whether you're gonna put fuel in the car or whether you're gonna keep the lights on. And you know it's bad when Edomites are going through it, man. Hey, man, Edomites be feeling it, man. Edomites are really going through it. And this is meant to be their kingdom. So it's like, if Esau's going through it, shit must be bad. You know, Jake, the struggle ain't nothing new to us, man. We're you know, we been in the struggle, man. We've been out here in these trenches, man. We know how it feels to go without. That's a new feeling to Esau, Edom, and hey, man, these are Chinese automotive vehicles, man. They're taking over, man. I just see a new BYD showroom being built up over where I'm driving, man. You know, build your dreams. I believe that's a Chinese automotive manufacturer. You know, and they're blowing away the European market, man, because they coming in with these high-tech vehicles, yeah, and you know, they're slashing the price. You're getting, you know, what people would get in like a German car, for example, yeah, all the technology and features and all of that, systems, yeah, and then the Chinese are selling it half the price, man. You know, man, you know, Esau, Edom is done. Alright, and that's what we keep being shown. That's what the Lord is making clear, man. Esau, Edom is done. So it's like those people that sell out and want to bow down and take the MOTB, alright, really is for nothing, man. Because you're only gonna be in Esau's kingdom with Esau for 30 seconds, and then the Most High Yahweh's gonna send Yahweh Shai, man. That's why you gotta read these scriptures, man. Because the answers, you know, the way it's gonna play out, it's all mapped there in the scriptures, man. That's why Isaiah 33:6 tells us what? How wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, man. You know, we're able to see exactly how it's going to play out. So we know that there's no benefit in getting in that spirit of, hey, man, you know what, man? You know, that rolling up the sleeve spirit. Man want to start rolling up the sleeves. You know, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. Like rolling up the sleeve spirit, you know. Revelation 2:10 tells us, man, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. And hey, you know what, man? Let me get in the blue letter. I want to tackle it in the NLT. I never read this in the NLT, man. And you know, sometimes the NLT just be hitting on certain precepts, man. It just be hitting the nail on the head, so to speak. Revelation 2, and I'll read it in the KJV first, though, yeah? It tells us, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, which is a period of time. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So he says, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Because we have to get into the understanding that even if we keep our lives in Esau, Edom's kingdom, really that's death. Because Esau, Edom's ways, his practices bring forth death. So really, if we stay alive in his kingdom, in his setup, we're still in death. Because Esau, hey look man, it's raining down right now. Alright, that's death. Okay? Yo, that's crazy. He broke so hard, I promise you, that car was twerking for a hot second, man. That's how hard he hit them brakes. But anyways, man, it's raining right now here in the UK, man. This is it's Monday, I think it's the 5th of May, is it? Monday the 5th of May, bank holiday. You know, it's raining right now, which is a shame because we've actually had some decent weather. We've had some decent weather, man. But I'll be real, sometimes I don't mind a rainy day as long as I'm not in the rain. You know, I come in the shower like a car and that, and I just listen to the raindrops and I meditate. It's the Shabbat today anyway, man. You know what I'm saying? But what was I saying, man? Salaki, man. Sidetracking. Yeah. And I just washed my car, man. You know what I'm saying, man? Back in the day, this was a free car wash. Oh yeah, I'm in the cars. It's raining. Free car. Now I know that when this shit dries up, man, I'm gonna look at my car, and it's just gonna look just rank, all muddy and dirty and that, because you know you got the chemtrails. You know they putting shit in the rain, man. You know what I'm saying, man? I remember back in the day, which even in my back in the day, it don't even go that far back to where it would have been feasible for me to be doing it, but I did it out of ignorance anyway. You know, back in my day, which ain't that long ago, yeah, I used to, you know, be a child and you're outside and it's raining and that, and you know, you put your head to the sky and you open your mouth and you kind of drink the rainwater. There was a period of time where you could do that and you'd be alright. It wouldn't be a problem, yeah. But even when I was doing it, that was a problem. But I did it out of ignorance. But you do that shit now, man, hey, you definitely catching some shit, man. You know, last week, I was fucked up. From Tuesday morning, I was fucked up, man. You know, I woke up feeling all nauseous, body all aching. You know, but at the same time, people I was liaising with and speaking to, they was all experiencing some kind of thing all simultaneously, man. So Esau, Edom is killing us. And one of the people I was speaking to, you know, I said the government's trying to kill us, but as a joke, because they're not really in the truth, and you know, they have their way of how they see things and that. But they even that person said it as a joke to me as well. But what that person didn't realize is that she's telling the truth. Yeah, the government's trying to kill us, man, and it goes deep. The rabbit hole goes deep. Alright? But anyways, man, right, I don't know how I did that. Let me read this in the NLT. Revelation 2:10. Don't be afraid what you are about to suffer. Hey, we're going to suffer all manner of persecution. You know, your favorite uncle, your favorite cousin and that, you know, they're about to sell you out, man. Yeah, I know where he is. I know who he is. He's a Hebrew Israelite. Yeah, he was speaking out against you devils and this, that. They're going to say against you devils, man. Against you government authorities. You know. Yeah, I know where he lives. You know, we're going to have bounties on our heads. God damn. Some shit I hate to see. Some traffic. You know, you got to get ready for that, man. Your favorite neighbor, you know, they're going to be in that Give him up spirit, man. Yeah, we know who he is. How much? Yeah. I can get your location. Yeah. Bring him in dead or alive. Okay. I ain't eating in 5 days. He can make a nice meal. You know? These are the situations that's gonna be playing out, brothers, man. And it's like, sometimes it's so easy to just get caught up in your own situation, your own dramas, your own hiccups, that you forget that, yo, we're about to be dealing with tribulation on steroids, man. We're about to be dealing with the mad thing. Okay? But it's okay, because we're going to get through it, man. The Lord ain't going to give us anything that we can't handle. But we must keep this in mind. Revelation 2:10, NLT. Don't be afraid what you're about to suffer. The devil will throw some of you into prison to test you. You will suffer for 10 days. But if you remain faithful, even when facing death, even when facing death, if you remain faithful, even when facing death, yo, are you hearing that, man? I will give you the crown of life. And the thing is, we understand death, brothers, man. We're comforted. We understand what death is all about. We was going into it at camp yesterday. Not yesterday, Salaki, on Saturday. You know, we ain't got nothing to worry about, man. Because really, we ain't living down here anyway, man. This is death right here. None of this shit's worth living for, man. You know, I'm trying to get back home. I'm sitting in this traffic, man. You think we're gonna be worrying about traffic in the kingdom of heaven, man? You know, we're gonna be in the chariots, man. For goodness sake, getting everywhere, Mach 10 speed, whatever, faster than the speed of light, faster than the speed of sound. You know, just zipping about the place, man. Or we won't even need the chariot. We can just teleport, just like in Dragon Ball Z. You know, like we're about to, you know, be brought up on a whole nother level, man. And all we have to do is just suffer this little tribulation that we're suffering now. You know, remain patient, strive unto truth, unto death, and we gonna be a part of that ilk. You know, and we gonna be protected in the times to come, man. Which, hey, man, anyone and everyone can protect. I mean, can benefit from the protection of Yahweh Hashem Yahshai in the times that's to come. And this is what our people don't understand. You know, our people think that they're going to be in good cause. You know, our people think that they can stand on Egyptology or Jesus Christ or whatever the case may be, and they're going to be all right, man. They're sadly mistaken. You know, as the meme goes, you're dead wrong. I ain't going to say the rest of that meme, because that one's a bit, it's funny though. This is Revelation 3. 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Alright, we have kept these scriptures, man. We've kept these words in our hearts. You know, we you know, as Elder Apostle Tahar says, man, we live, breathe, sleep these scriptures, man. You know, when you go through life, okay, when you go through life, everything should be filtered through the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? You hear a certain thing pop up on the radio, you know, you gotta filter that through the scriptures, man. You hear a certain conversation, you see a certain sign, a certain advert, whatever the case may be, and you constantly just filtering it through the scriptures, man. You know, you damn near a walking Bible. Okay? That's keeping the word of his patience, man. So it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Alright? Now we face many hour of temptations, but this is talking about the ultimate hour of temptation, when we're presented with the see it, you know. And this is the thing, man. You know, we have to. That's why it says in Matthew 10, you know, those who love their mother or brother or father or I said the same thing, brother or sister, you know, roughly paraphrasing, they're not worthy of me. More than me, Salaki, are not worthy of me, man. You know, because it may be in the Lord's will that your woman might not make it and your child makes it, or vice versa. You know, your mama, your mother, or whatever the case may be. You know, you just have to, as the scriptures say, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, man. You know, we can't be out here worrying about the next man. You know, we got to make sure we're good. Okay? It shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So everyone is going to be faced with this hour of temptation. Okay? This ain't just going to be subject to just a segment of people. This is, you know, everyone is going to be, you know, subject to facing the hour of temptation. Okay? And only one segment of people are going to make it through the hour of temptation, and that's the elect. Okay? Let's read it in the NLT. Because you have obeyed my command to persevere. You see that? Because you've obeyed my command to persevere, man. This is a marathon, not a race, man. And it's about persevering. You catching all manner of evil, and you still presenting your body as a living sacrifice. That's persevering, man. Okay? I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world, to test those who belong to this world. Okay? To test those that belong to this world, man. You've been preaching Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Hashem Shai, but are you really of Yahweh Hashem Shai, or are you of your father the devil? Okay, that's what it's gonna come down to. Alright? You know, we're heading into the time where the Lord is gonna separate the boys from the men. And we just praying and hoping to be a part of them men. You know, we understand through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom, man. We understand that, you know, this ain't no this ain't no cakewalk. This ain't no walk in the park. Yeah, we understand that, man. Hey, that's why, what did Habakkuk say? In wrath, remember mercy. Because we all need mercy, man. Romans 3 tells us how, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory, man. We all need that mercy. Okay? But as for who makes it and who doesn't, that's all the will of the Father, man. You know, Romans 9 gets all into that. Okay? So we gotta just strive unto the truth, even unto death, man. You know, understanding that the dead in Yahweh Shai are gonna be raised up first anyway. You know, brothers, man, we gotta get ourselves in this mindset, man, because yeah, it's great to see these prophecies taking place, things are moving and whatnot, but we also gotta remember what's required of us. You know, to whom much is given, much is required, man. Okay, we still, you know, we still ain't faced our darkest hour, but that's still ahead of us, man. So, you know, we just gotta make sure that, you know, we're staying in the right mindset, man. You know. But yeah, man, I pray, Lord willing, this lesson here has been edifying, man. It was a little driving talk. You know.